Hello everyone, we are back for our first live for National Infertility Awareness Week, and we're going to be joined by one of my longtime patients, Marline Duroseau. She'll be coming on very shortly to share her story, and I hope that you guys find it as inspiring as I do. She actually documented her journey when she was undergoing IVF treatment, fertility treatment, and she actually is going to be publishing that, so it's a preprint. So we're going to be asking her to share her story to inspire you, hopefully, on your journey. And I hope that you will also share your story with us as well. So for those of you who do not know me, my name is Duroseau. I'm a reproductive acupuncturist and herbalist. I'm also going to be doing some events throughout this week. I'm going to bring Marline in as well. So we are going to be sharing stories. We're going to be getting the word out that we, there's Marline. Oh, I see you. How are you?
There we go. My plant's in the way.
Welcome. How are you?
Thank you. Great. How are you?
I'm great. Yeah, I'm so glad. Thank you for joining us because this is really important. I want to introduce you for those of everyone who doesn't know you, but I would love for you to actually introduce yourself because you have been really busy with your book. A little bit more what you've been working on.
Yes. Okay, let's see, put my volume up. Okay, I'm up all the way. Hi, everyone. My name is Marline Duroseau. I am a former patient of Dr. Duroseau. We've known each other for a very, very, very long time, And I remember finding out about you actually through a couple avenues. One was a friend of mine who had another friend of hers who was going through infertility and also, you know, went to your office and was able to conceive. And, oh, give me one moment, Dr. Duroseau. I got a call. Let's see.
No worries.
Okay, sorry. They're messing up my flow here. There's someone that was calling at my gate, so I had to let them in. Oh my gosh, I'm getting nervous. Okay. I then reached out to you because actually two of my fertility doctors recommended you as well. So one of them was Dr. Gelman. I started at one point, I was in his office, and ultimately Dr. Hoffman. And you came highly recommended from my friend and those two, you know, respected medical professionals. So I know I was in good hands. So,
I was trying to think, how the heck did we meet? It's been so long, but yeah, it was. Yeah. I think it was when you were first starting everything. So, so I want to know. I mean, you know, this week we're focusing on patient stories and hope, because there is still a stigma there about telling your story. About having issues getting pregnant, even though we know now 1 in 8 couples are affected with infertility. It is more common than we know, unfortunately, but I think the more we talk about this, the more we erase the stigma and the more we can help other women and couples going through this. So did you feel like when you were first starting out that you could talk to a lot of people about what you were going through, or how did you get support?
Actually, I didn't. I did not feel that way at all. I'm Haitian American, and in the Haitian culture, at least in my experience, you know, I was born here in America, but, you know, my parents are Haitian, we raised Haitian. So it's one of those things that you don't really speak about. And it's not until after I had my experience with the loss, which we'll get to, is when I'm finding out that so many other people in my own family had experienced something similar, but no one talks about it, you know? So I didn't really feel like I had a lot of resources to tap into, because obviously as a patient, which you know, Dr. Google becomes our friend, no matter how much the medical professionals tell you to don't go to Google, you'll overwhelm yourself with, you know, too much knowledge and you don't know the ins and outs of what it is that you're reading, you know? So, but there really wasn't many resources out there to help. You and the actual reproductive endocrinologist did a good job at trying to, you know, gear us patients towards resources, but there wasn't really, you know, much help out there. And also in my case, I'm in a scenario where everyone around me were having kids, you know, and they did not express that they had an issue. You know, it was, okay, well, I'm married now. Okay, boom, we're having kids. Or, oops, I missed my cycle, I'm having a kid. Or, you know, whatever, you know, it was just normal. And even back at that point, I never felt a way. I never felt like something was wrong. It was more, well, it's not my time yet. It'll happen, you know, when it's supposed to happen, when it's my time. But because as I got a little older, I graduated from college, my husband and I, you know, we bought our house, and then we're like, you know what, you know, this just isn't happening. Let's go and try to get checked out. So I had another doctor that came highly recommended that my husband and I went to visit. But well, I remember vividly going there, and I think I was 23 or 24 at the time. And the nurse, I'll never forget, she said, "What are you guys doing here?" I said, "Well, what do you mean?" She says, "Well, you're so young, you still have time." Yeah. And I said, yeah. And I said, you know what? No. And even if that were the case, if something's wrong, I want to find out now. I'd rather come early and you tell me I'm too early versus waiting until I'm a little older. And a lot of times, Dr. Duroseau, you know, a lot of the times what the medical professionals tell you is, oh man, you know, you're up there in age, because when it comes to fertility or pregnancy, they brand you as, you know, older and maternal. Okay, exactly. Once you turn 35. So I said, you know, I just want to get checked out just to kind of see, you know, what's going on, just to make sure everything is okay. So our journey officially started when I was it was 2003. So I was 22 going on 23, you know, when our journey started.
The baby, I know.
A baby. Yes. Yes. And although I wasn't necessarily looking to, okay, let's get pregnant, but it just wasn't happening. And I said, you know, let's just go get checked out. We had good insurance at the time, you know, 2 times for United Health Insurance. So they were able to, you know, go in and do diagnoses and things like that, just to make sure everything was okay. But at that point is when I think I was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome. So that's PCOS. And we also found out that my husband's count was, you know, a bit on the lower side, lower than medical professionals would like to see. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't abnormally low. It was just not where the numbers were. And couple that with my PCOS, it just kind of, you know, allowed room for a little bit of, you know, uncertainty there, mm-hmm. you know.
So you had 2 factors going against you at this point. And then, yes. At what point did they refer you to the reproductive endocrinologist, or did you just?
Yeah, I actually just started off at the reproductive endocrinologist. It was a doctor. He was, you know, great guy, Dr. Goodman. He was in Kendall. And after we did 3 just medicated regular cycles of IUI and Clomid, mm-hmm. Then after those 3 were unsuccessful, we then decided to move to a different doctor. So I kind of put everything on hold, because from 2003 till about 2004, it only sounds like a year, but really it was a whole 2 years, because it was almost each full year. I had gained a lot of weight with all the drugs. I was tired. You know, you get mentally exhausted, you know, and when you're going through the cycles and, you know, they're telling you nothing's wrong, but yet you keep getting negative pregnancy tests, it also takes a toll on you, you know, mentally. So at that point, we just took a break. So I decided to go back to school. I got my master's. You know, we were doing things, vacationing. My husband and I were everywhere, just living the normal married, you know, life with no kids. And then long story short, I decided that, okay, we have to, you know, get back on the wagon and try again. And I met up with Dr. Gelman, and I enjoyed being at his practice. We immediately went into an IUI, but with injectables this time instead of the Clomid, just a little bit more of an aggressive, you know, approach. Mm-hmm. And he pretty much saw the same thing, the low sperm count and PCOS, although even with the PCOS, my hormones weren't off. You know, they weren't too out of whack. But I did have literally polycystic ovaries. Like when you look on the ultrasound, you just see the ball, which is the ovary, and a lot of little balls in them. They were like a lot. So I don't know if that had anything to do with anything, but I got my cycle every month, because a lot of people with PCOS, at least that I've been explained, they don't menstruate every month. And that wasn't the case for me. I was like clockwork every 26 to 28, you know, days. And I felt my ovulation. I knew which side the egg was being released from every month. So after a couple IUI with injectable cycles with Dr. Gelman, he suggested that we go to the next step, which is IVF. And at that point, I became even more tired. And I said, I just need another break, you know, and I took another year or so off, just, you know, existing, you know, working. I was building my career, so I was very busy, you know, things of that nature. And I do a lot with my family, so there was a lot of running around, work, you know, just keeping me busy. And then in 2009, luck would have it that I would get in contact with Dr. Hoffman. I found out about him through another young lady in a group that I belonged. And he and I hit it off right away. We hit it off right away. He hit it off with my husband. And he says, you know, look, we're going to do the best we can to make this work for you. And I have to admit, both Dr. Gelman and Dr. Hoffman, they saw how stressed out I am. Like now I'm much more calm, but you can feel my anxious energy. You know, in the past, I was very anxious. And, yeah. I remember the sweaty palms, and it was just horrible. So they were like, okay, you need to relax, go and do yoga, you know, hook up with Dr. Duroseau, Dr. Salata at the time. And, you know, she'll work with you with the acupuncture. You have to try to be a little bit less anxious, because that doesn't, you know, work well either. So went with Dr. Hoffman, and you and I, we started working together, you know, with the acupuncture. And if not for anything else, I really wanted to get into the acupuncture. And I love that, you know, you're the one hosting this as well, because I think there's something to say about, you know, traditional Chinese medicine or mixing, you know, medical type, you know, intervention with the more natural approach, because it's really important, because also as a Haitian American, our culture really believes in the more natural, the better, right? So keeping in line with that, you know, that's why it was also taboo in the culture because of the IVF, because it's like, oh, well, what do you mean? What are they going to do? Like, why do you have to go through that? You should just, you know, have sex and get pregnant, or just wait. It'll happen. Like, you don't need to go through and have them do all this stuff to you. But with the acupuncture, it was a lot more acceptable, believe it or not, because it's like, it's natural. You're not changing anything or doing anything in their eyes, you know? So I really feel that the acupuncture helped, because it's just amazing how you can just be off balance, or your body's too warm. You used to tell me about having too much moisture, or your body's too warm, or your body's too cold, or whatever the case may be. And that fell right in line with the Haitian culture, because I had some treatments too from my mother's side and you know, their side of the family, where they'll say, oh yeah, your uterus is nice and warm, or your uterus is too cold. And it reminded me of sessions that you and I would have, you know. So, you know, we went in, we started between IVF and acupuncture. We did our cycles in conjunction, you know, with each other. And if not for anything else, I think that having the sessions with you also helped calm me down, and also helped me to be receptive to this process that I was about to embark, because it was scary. You know, you don't know. There's the financial aspect of it, right? Because insurances don't cover, you know, a lot of the insurances don't cover the actual cycle. What they cover is diagnostics. So at that point, you can get all the testing done and blood work and things like that, but they don't cover the cycle. So you're also worried about the financial, you know, impact and toll it's going to take on you. So it was very nerve-wracking. So acupuncture helped with that too, and just making sure, you know, everything was in balance. My hormones were in place, like everything was where it needed to be. And of course, our luck, you know, we do the IVF and I get pregnant the first time. I was like, oh my gosh, yay. And I remember when I was going for that pregnancy test, and it was day 7 or 8 after my transfer, and I called you freaking out, like, oh my God, Dr. Duro. You're like, what happened? Relax. I said, I'm bleeding. And she goes, wait, what do you mean you're bleeding? Like, what is it? So, and I described it to you, and you said, I don't know, but that kind of, sounds like implantation bleeding. And I said, oh, okay. So it's not just something you read in the books. It actually happens. So I really stuck to that, and we did treatments while I waited, because after you do your transfer, you have that whole long 2-week wait. So we saw you, and you were really good at checking the pulse, making sure everything was strong. And, we did get that positive pregnancy test, and everything was just great. I was pregnant. I was happy. I had no issues with the pregnancy whatsoever. And then fast forward, a few months later, I just one day didn't feel good. Nothing hurt. It's just, you don't feel good. You feel kind of off. And when I went to the restroom, I had what looked like it wasn't actually like a nickel-sized clot. So I go to the hospital. And by the way, you recommended my OB, Dr. Lacombe. I love her so much. She was just so good to me. Yeah, you recommended Dr. Lacombe, and that's who I was with. Yeah. And Dr. Duro, when I tell you, I walked into that hospital not expecting to not go back home, and it was just very tough because, I had my little book and my notepad, and I was like, oh, well, this is the week that we talk about birth plans. So I was writing things down while I was in the waiting room. This is what I want for my birth plan. You were going to be my doula. Remember, we had all that, because I definitely wanted a doula because my husband can't handle anything. So I wasn't even going to try to, put that on him. So we had it all planned, and long story short, they told me, it was either me or the baby. Just like that, my cervix was open. I didn't feel anything, and the way she explained it is almost as though I could have been walking down the street and the baby just fall out, with no warning, no pain, no nothing. So needless to say, we were devastated. But at that point, it's like, okay, what do we do to try to help save the pregnancy? So I had to have an emergency surgery to put in what's called a cerclage. And it helped save the baby, but I think the timing was a little off, which is what everybody ended up, agreeing upon, because from the time that my cervix was dilating silently, there's bacteria in your canal that needs to be outside. It's not supposed to go inside. So only who knows how long, my cervix was open. So bacteria climb up there, and it took about a couple weeks of me being in the hospital to realize, okay, it's kind of like the way she explained it, as though you trapped a bacteria inside something and locked it. Because once we had the cerclage surgery, my cerclage was just, my cervix was closed. So all the bacteria was doing its weird stuff, and then I started to have contractions and things of that nature. So long story short, unfortunately, we lost the baby at 22 weeks, and I had to deliver her vaginally, and was able to have a funeral for her, get her cremated. And at that point, I thought I was just going to lose my mind. Like I literally felt like I wanted to run in the street and just, I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to feel. I didn't have anybody to talk to because no one I knew had experienced that. Everyone that I saw around me that was pregnant, 9 months later, they came home with their baby. So, instead I came home with a purple box, and it was just horrible. So Dr. Lacombe was really good in setting me up with my therapist, Dr. Got Health. So I was with her for several months. We kind of worked through the different stages of the grief, and I went to support groups and, things of that nature. And people just didn't know how to help, and I don't blame anyone. And I wasn't upset. I was just like, what do I do? You're lost. It's devastating, because you also think it's not fair. It didn't happen for us naturally. And then when it does happen and we paid all this money, boom, she's gone. It was just very devastating. And, some days you feel like you want to try again, like right away. You just miss that feeling of being pregnant. So you're like, okay, boom, I want to try again. And other days you're so afraid because you just don't know what's going to happen in that trying again, So we took our time. And when I was finally ready, we decided to try again. And Dr. Hoffman, we started another cycle, and we did another fresh cycle because I had no, embryos left over from the first cycle, which that's a whole nother story. So we decided to try again, and then I was adamant on transferring 2 embryos. I told him, I don't care. I want to. And he said, Marlene, transferring two embryos does not increase your chance of success. It increases your chance of multiples. I said, I don't care. I'm doing it. Okay. So he's like, okay. And thank goodness I fell within the parameters of the reproductive board, because they had, after Octomom, they put out like parameters, you know, based on your age and egg quality and all these different factors. These are the number of embryos you're allowed to transfer. So I was in that arena where I could do two by the recommendation of the medical community. So we went ahead and did that. And I'll never forget the look on my husband and Dr. Hoffman's face when I went in for that first ultrasound after the positive pregnancy test. And then they were just staring at the screen. And of course, I'm facing, you know, away from the screen. So I'm like, what's wrong? What happened? And they're like, you're having twins. I said, yay! And they're like, no.
No, yeah. I know.
You know? Yeah.
And I mean, just the fact that you had the strength to go through this again, that is, I mean, that's incredible, because there's so many times where you could have just said, I'm done. This is not in the cards for me, and I'm not going to go through this again.
It was a very, very tough decision. And outside of having the postnatal acupuncture treatments, the postnatal therapy sessions, and, you know, just taking time out to myself, I started writing, you know, because I felt like no one really understood how I felt. No one could relate. And thank God, you know, I have good friends. I have great friends, my husband, everybody. They were there to listen, but like my husband and my family, they didn't really quite understand, but they were there as that listening ear. No one ever told me to be quiet. No one ever said, you know, in my immediate circle, no one ever said, okay, we'll get over it, or, you know, just move on and try again. Like, no one ever said that to us, you know? So I was very, you know, happy about that. And I had a few friends who, they didn't have this issue, but the amount of support that they gave me to just allow me to feel how I was feeling and talk to them, you know, or just visit and say nothing for hours, just to be there, you know? So I really don't know where I got the strength from. I do know that it was during one therapy session. I showed up one day and, you know, Dr. G said, you know, you have a little bit of a spark about you. I said, yeah, I think I'm ready. And she goes, wow, okay. And I said, I'm afraid, but I know me. If I don't do it, I'm going to regret not trying again. So, you know, the possibility of trying again outweighed the fear that I still had all throughout the pregnancy of, you know, trying again, you know. So it was a very tough time, you know. And at that point, and you were aware of this too, I was set up with Dr. Yassine. He's the high-risk doctor at the University of Miami-Jackson. And he took good care of me. Dr. Hoffman released me at around between 8 and 10 weeks. He said, you need to get to Jackson right away. You know, I don't want to keep you. You have to go. He's the best, yada, yada. So we had a plan. We were going to do a preventative cerclage at 12 weeks, you know, which we did. Everything went off without a hitch. You know, I'm walking around, you know, with my little belly with my twins and living my life, and everything was great. And then one day, that same eerie feeling just didn't feel good again. You know, I just like, no, I just don't feel good. You know, and I'll never forget. I went into work on a Saturday, and as I was leaving the house, my mother-in-law, she said, you know, you look so beautiful. That, you know, you just look so pretty today. And I said, you know, thank you so much. And little did I know, I wouldn't see her again for a whole nother month. That was the last thing she said to me when I walked out the house, you know. And while I was at work, I had my husband come pick me up because I didn't feel good. And, you know, we went to the hospital. When they checked, everything was closed. My cervix was closed. There was no issue. But he said, you know, it's Saturday. You need to be on bed rest. I'm going to keep you here and observe you, because if I send you home, you'll tell me you're in bed, but you won't tell me, oh, well, I got up to, you know, go to the, you know, I don't know, get something out the fridge, or I got up to reach for a broom. So he goes, I'm going to keep you in the hospital just to watch you. So that way we know you were in bed, you know, for the whole weekend. And Dr. Duroseau, Monday morning came in. I'm fine. I have no pain. I have no contractions. Everything's fine. He goes to check my cervix. So I went from Saturday being totally closed, no problem, to I was 4 centimeters dilated.
Oh my gosh, yes.
4 centimeters dilated. Like, it was just horrible. So at that point, I lost it again. And of course, that happens at 22 weeks, right? At 22 weeks, the same time that I lost my daughter. So it was just an emotional, just a mess.
Twins too, it's even harder, you know,
Exactly.
on the cervix, like when you.
Exactly.
Yeah, so.
Exactly. So even with that cerclage, I was dilated, and that's the part that was just mind-boggling, you know, to everybody, you know. And because I was freaked out, I literally basically put myself in labor, kind of, sort of, because I got so anxious that I started having contractions. And Dr. Yassine was he's just like Dr. Hoffman, very straightforward. Like, listen, you have to be confident. You have to remain calm. We can't help you if you're, and I know it's hard, but you have to try to stay calm, because when you came in here, you weren't contracting. Now you're contracting. I can't do anything if you're still contracting, you know? So that helped me be calm. And then the next day we did another cerclage, and long story short, thank goodness. So I went in there at 20, I think it was 20 weeks or 22, one or the other. And, oh, it was 22 because I had the surgery, the emergency cerclage. I had it the same 22 weeks, one day that I delivered my daughter. That's when I'm having an emergency to try to save my twins. You know, I had to have an emergency surgery. So the boys lasted a little longer, and we made it to 26 weeks, one day. Thank goodness for that. We were trying to get longer, but that's the best, you know, they could do. And they were delivered by C-section, and they were in the NICU close to 4 months, 3 days away from 4 months, you know, that they were in the NICU. But that was a whole nother, you know, emotional roller coaster in itself. But everything turned out okay, you know, and the journey after I had them was just a lot of appointments, a lot of running around, a lot of uncertainty, because everyone around me was excited because I had these twins, and I was just afraid every second of the day. I was scared. You know, am I going to get that phone call from the NICU that, you know, one of them stopped breathing, or, you know, something happened? Because in the NICU, it's very scary, because you go in, all the moms go in together. Some moms leave with their kids and some moms don't. So you'll go on a regular visit to your child, and his neighbor, you know, his NICU buddy is no longer alive. You know, it was very, very, very difficult, you know, a very difficult time. But they made it through. They made it through.
How old are they now?
So, they are 8. They'll be 9 in November. Yes. So Kason and Camden, those are my little miracle babies, you know. So they're doing really, really well. They're in 2nd grade, and they're just doing well and just healthy and buzzing around here like, you know, normal 8-year-old boys. And yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's hard to believe it's that long, you know. It's like,
I know.
It was yesterday when I think you texted me or called. I somehow found out that you were in the hospital at that point.
Yes. Yes.
Oh no, not Marlene. Oh, no.
I know. I think somebody sent it to Hoffman. Hoffman sent it to you. So, because I only remember reaching out to one doctor, and then all of you guys, you know, called, which I appreciated so much, because, you know, there's something about that I mentioned in the book that I'm going to share too, is that, you know, you have to have a strong and confident medical team. And as a patient, you have to have confidence in your medical team. And something that always sat really well with me, with all of my doctors, every single one of them, OB, you, the reproductive endocrinologist, everyone. And they say, you know, you have done your part, Marlene. We've done our part. Now it's up to him. There's nothing else we can do. You just have to wait, you know, and have faith. And there's just something really reassuring about that, and knowing that you truly do care, you know, about the patients. It's not just, okay, I have another patient, I'm going to stick these needles in, and, you know, you're about your business. No, you know, I know sometimes, like, if our schedules, you know, at one point, remember you were in, what did you move to, Panama City, or with grandma up north?
Yes, for a while we moved back to Pensacola and then moved back again.
Pensacola, yeah. So you had your schedule where you were only there, like once a month. I made sure I booked.
And I got to spend the last 6 months of my grandmother's life with her. So
exactly,
I never ever regret that to this day.
Exactly. And to think how, although you were dealing with that and wanting to be there with for your family, you always checked in and made sure I was okay. Okay, so how was your appointment today? Because I know we had the other acupuncturist in there too. And,
right,
you know, even though you had my plan set, I would see you twice a week leading up to whatever. And it was always, okay, I'm down on this weekend, you know, I'm going to make sure I book you that day. So you guys care, and it makes a difference. You know, it's really important. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I mean,
no, thank you.
It's such an honor to be part also of this whole, it is a roller coaster. We know it, you know,
yes.
It can be.
Yes.
But I still love to receive your cards. Like, I'm old school. Like, when someone sends me these little, I think I even have one hear of something. They just, they send me, so, and I'm like,
yes,
oh, geez, because
I know.
everybody texts things nowadays, you know, but to have
Right.
something like that, I mean, I don't know. I've kept every single one for like the
Yeah,
last probably 15 years. I have this huge book full of
I know you
pictures,
do.
letters, and all of that. And that at the end of the day, that's what makes everything worthwhile still.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's important, you know, to me to share, you know, the pictures too, because you care. It's like, oh, okay, great. I think she would love to know how the boys are doing and what they're growing like. And I'm sure the other moms, you know, feel the same way, you know, as well.
No,
So
I love it. I'm like, I probably have the boys, you know, from like birth to 8 years. I mean, I have so many
absolutely.
pictures, and it's so awesome.
Absolutely.
And then
Absolutely.
as far as like, so you were journaling this whole time, right? You were starting
Yes.
doing this, and then at what point did you say, okay, this needs to be out there for other people? Like, let me put it in a book, because I think that's an awesome idea. And I
Thank
always say,
you.
oh, write things down, because you know you'll forget these things.
Yeah.
And I think that somebody else going through this will
Right.
really appreciate having that guide, you know, having
Exactly.
someone to like to talk to about this and look at
Absolutely.
what you experience. It's so
Absolutely.
important. So
Yeah, and you know, it was important for me to write. Although when I started writing, it wasn't with the intention at all to get anything published or do anything. It was a way for me to cope and get my feelings out, you know, because writing has always been therapeutic for me. And, you know, I'll be sitting 10 minutes and I'll write 5 pages. Like I'm just fast and my thoughts are all over the place. So I like to just, you know, write. And writing became a little tricky when people had to use the computer, because I'm like a pen to paper girl. So as I started like typing, I said, you know, it'll be faster if I just type this. So every day I went in and typed in my journal, you know, whatever I was feeling. And again, it wasn't with the intention to get published or anything. I just, okay, I'm just going to have these, and maybe one day I'll look back on my journey or something like that. So what ended up happening is when I decided, or was trying to decide, if we were going to have another child, I said, and then I actually started that process of trying to get pregnant again. I said, you know, let me start writing again. So I started journaling and picking that back up, because there was a gap in space. Because after I had the twins, I was too busy. Even if I wanted to write every day, you know, it was in my head. I had no time to sit at a computer or do anything. It was just like, you know, go, on to the next, on to the next. So I started journaling my journey again, you know, trying again the thoughts about that, what the process was, what changed between when I was 30 compared to now that I'm, you know, 36, 37, you know, what happened, just things like that. And then after I had him, my little baby, he turned 3 on Sunday. He's my little young one.
what's it
Yes,
like? What's
his name is Kevin's, but we call him KB because it's Kevin's Benjamin.
oh, happy birthday, Kate.
Yes, thank you so much. So after I had him and I just had all these works, and I said, you know, I think it would be good for me to really try to take it serious to get this out there, because at that point, all of a sudden it clicked when I was actually on maternity leave with a live baby. You know, I wasn't on leave, but working to make up time to have for when they came home. So although after the twins, it was tough because I had the C-section, it wasn't healing well. And I think it's because I was doing too much. I went back to work 2 weeks later. So I said, you know, I need to go to work because, you know, I need to save up my time or just be available for when the boys came home. And the experience was so different with this last pregnancy. You know, I was able to, you know, come home with the baby. You know, he left the hospital the same time I did. You know, I had no issues with the pregnancy. My cervix held, you know, like a rock. You know, we went and had a different surgery, an additional surgery called the transabdominal cerclage. Okay. I had that done before I got pregnant. So I had a normal pregnancy. My cervix was rock solid, no issues. I worked up until 2 days before I was scheduled for my C-section. And I just felt like, you know, this can really help someone to go from, you know, joy, devastation, craziness, more joy, you know, uncertainty. And now I have a totally different experience, you know, just because I endured and kept the course, you know. So while I was on maternity leave, I reached out to a few people that I wanted to talk to about how do I get this published or how do I even begin writing. So that was 2018 because I had them in 2018. I'm going to tell you, after meeting with all these people that I got consults from, please, Dr. Duroseau, I was so busy. Work was insane. I did nothing. I wasn't able to. Before you know it, my maternity leave was over, and I'm like, oh, I got nothing done. So during COVID, right? So that's 2 years later, because COVID was 2020. I said, you know, this is the perfect time. If I'm going to really be serious about this and do it, this is the perfect time to do it. And that's what I did. I reached back out to the lady, her name is Julia with BK Royston Publishing. And it's funny because I went and I searched the last email from her, and it was October 2nd of 2018 was the last time her and I communicated. Oh. So I used that thread to reach back out to her again. And she goes, okay. And she was never pushy. It was never, hey, you reached out. What are you doing? No, take your time. It has to be organic. When you're ready, you'll know. And that's exactly what happened. I reached back out. And since, you know, I want to say August or September during COVID, we've been, you know, full steam ahead trying to get, you know, everything done, because the journal entries alone were about 30,000 words. You know, it was a lot of writing. So she was able to help me get it organized, and I had to fill in some of the blanks and, you know, things, or not blanks, gaps, because between 2013 and let's say 16 or 17, I didn't really write much because I was busy with the kids. So I had to fill that gap in, what happened after, that type of thing. But knowing that you're working with someone that's also pushing you to get your story out there and letting you know that your story is important and it can be impactful really helped motivate me as well, you know. And the goal was to try to get it done by the end of 2020. But unfortunately, there were some, you know, unforeseen circumstances with COVID and just weird stuff. So we weren't able to. So the plan was to try to get it done for my 40th birthday. And it worked out perfectly. I was able to get a draft copy. And this is the book. I'm so proud of it.
I love your power pose going on there too. That's awesome.
Yes. And the power pose came from, I had a photo shoot, you know, for my 40th birthday. And it was, you know, like an alter ego theme. So one of them is like the boss, powerful Marline, and the other one was a little more laid back, you know, personality. So that picture ended up being very fitting, you know, for the cover. So I'm really, really proud of it. You know, I thank you so much for even featuring me during, and that was even before we knew about the book. It's National Infertility Awareness Week. And I think it's important to let other, you know, women know that they're not alone and there is support out there. And, you know, me being of Haitian descent, you know, African-American descent, you know, just a professional, you know, all these boxes that I can check off. Sometimes you don't find that support because it's one of those things where you never really feel open and comfortable to talk about it because you're worried about, will there be judgment, or, you know, what will people think, or will people think of any less of you because you had to go through that. And, you know, it's just a lot. It's a lot. So I, you know, speaking to you and speaking to Dr. Hoffman and, you know, all my other specialists too, they agree, you guys agree that it's good to get it out there and, you know, help others because, I definitely think that it would make an impact in people that are trying or experience something similar or something like that, you know?
You are one of the bravest women I know. And
it's a lot. It's not easy. I don't know. I sometimes I feel like I'm just floating on air, only because it's like I keep juggling everything from one to the next to the next. And I've just learned that one of the things that I really appreciate about myself in my journey, and I try to share that with other women, is, you know, it's okay to experience what you're experiencing. And what I mean by that is, as women, whether it's inherent in nature or whether it's what we see because of our mothers or grandmothers, we're always supposed to be tough and strong, right? And, you know, have it all together. And sometimes you just need to be able to feel everything, and it's okay. You know, we try to suppress, like, I'm sad, but I can't let people see that I'm sad, or I can't, you know, and it's like, no, because you can't go back and change anything. And I remember when I was grieving, and it's still very difficult, I remember saying, life just doesn't stop. So I've had this bad experiences, right? Other people have bad experiences, and nothing stops, Dr. Duro. Yeah. Nothing stops. Work continues, the traffic lights continue, the grocery store operates, and meanwhile, you're dealing with this devastation, wanting to just have everything come to a standstill for you, and it doesn't happen that way. So that's why I always said, for me to not look back and regret, because sometimes I know me, I'll look back and say, man, I didn't even take the time to grieve, or I didn't even take the time to sit still. I allowed myself to go through the motions. And then, quite honestly, that's one of the biggest and most impactful advice that I think I can give, because people want you to just, you know, okay, fix yourself up and let's go again. You know, people can't see that, or, you know, you're going to appear as weak, or no. You have to allow yourself to go through the motions. And if that means I'm strong, well, then I'm strong, because and if I were to have to go through all of this again, I feel like I never, now that I'm on the other side, let me say it like this, now that I'm on the other side of the journey, I now understand things had to happen the way they did. Why? I still don't have an answer to that, but I know the because. I don't know why, meaning why the first pregnancy and not the second, or why on this cycle where I have to pay all this money and not the other. You know, those kind of questions you don't really have answers to. But I feel I had to embrace my journey and feel like, okay, you know, at least I know, based on what happened with my daughter, I'm equipped with the best information I have now to try to move forward. Because in life, they say, when you know better, you do better, right? When you find out a different way, you try to maneuver to make sure that the outcome is different, you know? But even when you plan it that way, it still doesn't happen that way, you know, because in between the twins and having my last baby, there were more ups and downs, you know, that the book goes into. And you question yourself, well, I already have 2 healthy kids. Am I, saying that I want too much by trying to now go have another one? Is that why that happened? Because I should be content with what I already have. So it's just a lot. It truly is, you know. But I'm happy to say I stayed the course, and it's not easy having the kids, but I have to thank my family so much, because I have a lot of help. And everyone's very supportive. My family, my friends, my work, everyone's very supportive, because it truly does take a village, you know. And I'm truly grateful for that, you know. And now I feel like it's my time to give back. And in doing so, I think the book will be one of those catalysts needed to initiate that, you know, process, giving back and helping others, you know. Because so many suffer in silence. It's very tough. It's not an easy situation. So
and this is part of your journey. Is this part? So I really appreciate everything that you put into this, and I can't wait to read it. I'm excited for it. So
thank you.
Do you know when it's going to be out? Like when you can actually find where you can find it, and when it's published? Or
yes, when it's ready, it'll be available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. I'm trying to also ensure that it's available on Audible as well, because I have some people that everyone now is into, you know, listening, you know, versus reading. So the plan was...
Are you going to read? Please read, because your voice is awesome.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know what I was going to do. So once I talked to the publisher about that, because I didn't know that people like paid other people to read for them. Like it's the craziest thing. But thank you for that.
You could read your book. I think that would be
Yeah. So because again, the biggest push was to get it ready in time for me to, you know, announce it and present it at my birthday gathering. So this draft is as close to perfect as possible. But I just have a few, you know, tweaks to do to it. And I'll be able to meet with my publisher next week. And at that point, we'll make those final edits. And I was trying to aim for Mother's Day, but that's literally like tomorrow. So that probably won't happen. And so I'm looking for, you know, maybe June, July-ish, just the kind of late June, early July, you know. So, and at that point, I created a page for the book. It's called It'll Happen Book, ITLLHAPPEN book on Instagram. So you guys can follow that, and you'll get updates in terms of the progress and when the official, you know, launch will come and things of that nature. So I'm just really proud of it, and I like how I'm able to just show a different side of where sometimes things don't happen as planned, and the way that you want to do it or want it to happen is not how it happens, and you embark on things that you never thought you would do, and that's okay, you know, because therapy is taboo in the African American culture and Haitian culture. What do you mean you're going to tell people your business? Who is this stranger? Like, you know, therapy is important. It helped me. Acupuncture helped me. Acupuncture was so important. Like, I never thought I would be doing acupuncture, because people don't understand. They're like, oh, you're just going to sit there and they're going to put needles? Like, what does that do? No, acupuncture helped, you know, being able to pick the right doctor, being able to, you know, be flexible and available to go to all of your appointments. And, you know, there's so many different things. It's not just, you know, a one-stop shop. So that's why for all the women who don't really have fertility issues, you know, and I know a lot of us say this, oh no, people take it for granted. I don't even think it's taking it for granted. It's like they're living their experience and living their truth, you know? So it's one of those things that us who do have issues, you appreciate them even more too, to a certain extent, you know, because you're like, thank goodness you didn't have to go through this, because this is insanity. You know what I mean? So you just kind of meet people where they are, and you allow yourself to be open to all of the different resources that are out there to help you. Because I'm a true believer in, yes, you have to have faith. Okay, great, no problem. But you also have to work at it. You know, I really believe faith without works is dead. You know, you can sit and have faith all you want. If you don't put your foot to the ground and try to look out for a way to, it won't happen, you know? So I'm really, really, really proud of it, very excited. And I'm just happy for everything you've done for myself and the family and the boys. And, you know, you even did acupuncture on Kason when he had that weird wrist, you know, thing. So guys, acupuncture is good for everything, not just fertility. Dr. Duroseau, I saw you for weight loss, right? After the twins, weight loss acupuncture. Yeah. You know, if you have back issues, if you have muscle issues, just hormonal imbalances, even men, you know, with semen or count issues, then, you know, Dr. Duroseau, you're excellent. Thank you for everything you do, you know, for the fertility community. Listen, you're a sweetheart. My friend is seeing you now. Like, listen, if I can send everybody to you, I would, you know, so. Yeah, I'm super excited about that.
We're going to have you back on. So
okay.
I'll like have this little copy in our hands so we can see it.
Yeah.
And, you know, we'll definitely share it with our patients as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But, I don't know. I'm just like, almost going to cry. I'm like, okay.
No. Listen, I mustered up a lot of courage, and the goal was no tears. So you can't start, because I'm normally the crybaby. Yeah.
But I do appreciate you so much.
Thank you
so much for sharing, and thank you guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And we will have you back pretty soon. And please come see me in my new office.
Yes. Yes. My thing is saying my battery is going. Oh, there it is. Okay, there it is.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Marline. And say hello to your little.
There you are. Okay, there you are. Thank you so much. I appreciate everything.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And everybody, if you have questions, please reach out to Dr. Duroseau at Florida Complete Wellness. She has offices in Miami, and I was back with you when you had offices in Broward and Miami, you know, in Hollywood.
Okay, so I've toned it down a bit, and I'm just Hialeah Gardens, our new office. But we do see patients for their transfers in South Miami and also in Broward. We work with them.
Okay, great.
And I almost forgot to say, because I was all worked up by your story here. Tomorrow we're going to have a Q&A with Dr. Ellen Wood. So if you guys have questions, we'll be back on Instagram at 7:30. And then Thursday night, it is going to be really fun. We're having a virtual fertility happy hour. Virtual yoga. Yoga, I think it is, yes. Yeah, so that's going to be really fun. It's restorative. It's going to be like 45 minutes, but you guys can bring some hot tea. Your partner's welcome to join. It's going to be on Zoom. And we will we have the link in our Instagram bio. So if you are watching now, you can go to our bio. And if you'd like to follow us, you're going to get these little alerts from us because we on fire this week with Infertility Awareness Week. We want to tell everybody about all these awesome stories. So we're going to have a few patients too joining us this week. And you guys, please reach out if you need anything at all. I'm here for you. Marline's here for you. So we appreciate it. So
thank you so much for everything. I know we went over a little bit, but I appreciate that. I found that section in the book. If we had a little time for me to read one paragraph.
Do a little read.
Yeah, I have it in the back. And I said that would be a little bit easier. It was one that talks about final lessons from the journey. So I can probably read, one or two paragraphs here that I think fits in to what I was saying.
Please do. It would be great.
Okay. Let me see everyone. Okay, so let's see. I'll start off with this one. Part of the journey involves finding the right set of medical professionals. Don't feel like you have to be stuck with a particular clinic or doctor. Having faith also involves trusting the people employed to help you achieve your dreams. So if you don't trust or feel confident in the process or the people, it will impact you and your chances of success as well. Build a strong rapport with your medical team and also educate yourself as much as possible. That way everyone is on the same page, you know. And then one more thing I thought that would be fitting. I said here, there's something humbling about having a plan. Although we're conditioned to think things through, plan things out, and have a contingency in place, the results do not always match up. The idea of not having everything work out in the manner in which you intended can and will throw you for a loop. Sometimes the plan works out as intended and for the best. Other times the plan results in an outcome that just isn't good. In my case, the thought of it happening by 30 served more as a faith-filled manifestation of what I wanted for my life. I knew I had to work hard and do my part, but I also kept believing and knew it would happen. So, and it kind of stopped there.
I love it. Oh, I love it. I love the title too, because that's just, it is like so programmed, you know, like.
Yeah.
Wait, it's not happening. Like, what do we do?
Exactly. Like, what do you do? And then the part that's just a little tricky in my case, technically it did happen by 30 and then taken away, you know? So again, that's that plan. You have that plan all along and then, you know, but you just have to stay the course and have faith and have confidence in yourself and your medical team. And you just keep pushing, you know, if that's truly what you want. So
yes,
absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
I thank you so much for allowing me to come on and share. And, you know, I'm I'm an open book. I've learned if you don't talk, you don't know, you know, if you don't ask, you don't get. So anybody wants to reach out, ask me any questions, anything, I'm totally open for that. And, you know, I know this might also serve as like a shock because not a lot of people knew at all until maybe you did that post that I had IVF. It just never came up, you know? Yeah. So, and I think it's because people always thought that, well, Marlene's always busy or, you know, she's doing something, so maybe she just wasn't ready. And it never just came up to me to say, oh yeah, I'm pregnant now and it's because I had IVF. No. It just never came up. So I think that alone will help a lot of people because, again, it's so taboo and people don't talk about it or, you know, for one reason or another. And it's just good, I think, to get it out there. Like, it's okay, you know.
It is okay. And it's okay to ask for help, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like essential. You can't do this alone. It is hard.
Exactly.
Hard stuff.
Exactly.
So, but you are an amazing woman.
Thank you so much.
So happy.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate everything. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll be talking soon. I can't wait to have my copies. It's me.
Yes. Don't worry. I'll let you know. Everyone's waiting. Don't worry. I'm going to make sure I send those alerts out right on time. No worries.
Good. All right. Take care, everybody.
Okay. Good night. Thank you so much.
Join us tomorrow. Yeah. I'll see you then. Okay. Bye.
Okay, perfect. Bye. Good night, everyone.
Good night.